Yes. Happy New Year, and welcome to another episode of the Three in Midfield podcast, the Match Report, hosted by me, of course, Kojo. KO is unavailable. Darren is also unavailable because work has caught them on Bank Holiday Monday. I don't know what the hell that's about, but me personally, I refuse to work. I am here, and we're going to discuss some football. It's been a while. We didn't do any World Cup coverage. We decided to take a break and actually sit down and enjoy the World Cup. A great World Cup for everyone to enjoy. One of the best ever, I would say, in my personal opinion. But that's come and gone, and we're back on home turf. We're back to the Premier League, and I thought to be kind to Arsenal fans for once and have two Arsenal fans join me because they are top of the league in the new year. So I'm going to introduce the guests right now. We'll go first with, firstly, they're both returning members, but we're going to go with AT. AT, my brother, how you doing?
I'm good, how are you?
I'm good. Marcus Rashford's putting smiles on my face, so I don't have to worry too tough about many things, you know. So I'm good. We're going to talk about AT a lot more soon regarding his music. He's got a new project coming out very soon, and we're going to talk about it. We'll give you a little sneak preview to one of the tracks on there as well, and then we'll delve into that. But more than anything as well, we're going to have another guest here who I do a wrestling podcast with as well, which is a great thing as well. Great times. But more than anything, he's also a brother of mine. Dash, how you doing, bro?
What up, man? Merry New Year! Merry New Year!
Come on.
What's good, man? Thanks for having me again.
Oh, come on, man. That's the energy we want, and that's the energy we're going to provide. So before we get into the football, though, AT, I did say we're going to talk about your music. You've been in this game for a while now, the music game, and you've been dropping some gems. And listen, I'm not someone that listens to a lot of music these days because I'm not really a fan of what's out there. But if I'm listening, it's because I really enjoy it. So, AT, you got a new project coming out. Let us know a little bit about it before we go later on into the tracks.
Yeah. So, new project coming out this Sunday, 8th of January, The Wolf You Feed. And without getting too much into it, essentially, I don't know if everyone knows the story of the two wolves from the Cherokee Man. One's good, one's bad. And the son asks which one wins, and he says it's all about the wolf you feed. So like, which side of you that you feed, you choose to nourish is the one that wins out. So the project just represents that. It's kind of almost two-sided. There's two distinct themes in terms of types of beats I use, and the way I talk about content, certain aspects and memories and whatnot. It's all about how you decide to look on your past experiences, where you see the negative or you take the positives from it. So the wolf feed,
Love that. Beautiful plug and a beautiful story to add as well. That's what you like as well when you listen to a track. When you listen to a track story in an album, an EP, a project, you want to feel what the album is about. You know, not just a jumble of tracks like certain Canadian rappers from the '60s. But anyway, I'm not here to take shots at certain artists. I'm here to start football with the boys, and we're going to discuss. Yeah, man.
I like that.
We'll talk about his career one day. But anyway, we're going to discuss the Premier League, and we'll go to Friday where we had own goal gate. Comedy is something I like to watch on such channels as Comedy Central. Going to gigs and watching people like Kevin Hart, perform, Dave Chappelle. I don't expect to watch at Anfield on my TV on the Sky Sports on a Friday night. But Liverpool beats Leicester 2-1. The funny thing about this game is that no Liverpool players scored. But Dash, we'll start with you.
Bro, you said Comedy Central. That's more like live at the Apollo or maybe Corks and down West End or something like that. Just them ones there. It wasn't even comedy. It became just like, when you just look at yourself like big Premier League defender and you are not able to adjust your feet. You're not able to even take heed to what your goalkeeper. We've all played a level of football, and when the keeper shouts, "My ball, keeper's ball," you let go. He's already given you as a defender. That's all you that can ask for from your goalkeeper, to be loud, clear, and concise. And when they played that playback, and they actually heard the keeper shouting out, "Keeper's ball, my ball," and you think to yourself, you still went for it. And then just not only that, he gave us one own goal, two own goals, and just like, man, come on, man. We like, it kills the morale of the play itself. Leicester are not in a good space right now. Brendan Rodgers, and these are the sort of things when you look at it, and you think to yourself, like, as much pressure as Brendan Rodgers has, that he cannot, that is not his fault. Like at the end of the game, in terms of like the player making those type of errors, and sometimes it's just like those small things are the ones can cost you your job. And like you alluded to, man, Liverpool didn't even score a goal in that game. And the crazy thing about it, like, I don't know if you lot watched the game, but Leicester were actually balling. They were actually playing. It was a game that I was looking at and I was thinking to myself, you know what, Liverpool can actually be got at, you know, in terms of really playing them. But it just, yeah, man, I think everybody, any like person that supports another club was just looking at that game and thinking, oh, what the hell is this? But yeah, man. I think he's like the second player to score like 2 own goals. Is that correct? I think Jamie Carragher.
Yeah,
but Jamie Carragher was boasting because his own goals were against a better club, being that it was Man United. Which then the co-commentator goes, "Oh, what are you trying to say? Like Liverpool's not a big club?" And then obviously he put his foot on it. But yeah, man, it was embarrassing. I don't even know what you could say when you get into the changing rooms, but yeah, the luck didn't change for Leicester after that.
I mean, AT, we'll follow on that about what you say in the dressing room, because I mean, Dash made a great point. Leicester were good.
Yeah.
They played well. Some people call it unfortunate on goals. I have a different perspective, but if you are the manager and the player, how do you address that? Because you shouldn't be conceding those.
It's really tough because at one hand you want to tell your player to you keep going in it, just forget about it, push through because there's still so much of the game left. But on the other hand, nah, that's, you know what I'm trying to say. Do you maybe you punish the player because you're like, you should be listening to the keeper for the first one, and then after the first one happens, the second one shouldn't be happening. Like, even if you say it's unfortunate, you should be more aware. You should be way more spatially aware. Realize how much time you have on the ball. Realize your momentum as well. I was listening to a commentator, and even the commentator said it, like, that ball's either going in or hitting the post. So there's no way you should be going that fast. Because if it's going in, there's nothing you can do. And if it's hitting the post and you're going that fast, it's coming off you and it's going back in. You should already see that, yeah, whatever happens, I need to slow down at this moment in time. In case it doesn't go in. I need to slow down. Yeah. And on top of it, even at the speed he was going, if he misses the ball, Salah's right there. He should be slowing down thinking, okay, let me get a better positioning on where Salah is. Because he's the danger man. But in his head, he's thinking, I've scored an own goal, I don't want to make another mistake. I'm charging at this 100%. And yeah.
Well, I can't agree more, man. I can't agree more. For me, it's not like sometimes we afford defenders with that notion of like, it's a mistake, it's an error, fair enough, keep going. But on 2 occasions, he's shown his lapse in concentration. He's shown, like, I think Gary Neville said it like really well. He said, like, we criticize strikers when they're not composed in finishing. Yeah, you're seeing that Nunes right now, he's getting all the, you know, the grief in regards to not finishing. He's not composed. Defenders are also, you need to be composed in them situations. You're going 100 miles per hour trying to chase after the ball that's close to your goal. Any error could be made there. So you got to be, like, you know, aware of what's going on. That the keeper screaming out that it's his ball and you're not paying attention to that. You're right, in terms of, like, if he goes into the change rooms and the manager gets at him, he couldn't feel aggrieved by that, innit? You got to be like, yeah, you know what, it's my bad. But yeah, man, it was just so frustrating in the game that you're seeing that Leicester weren't in for it, and those errors were just comical.
For me personally, I'm gonna put my two pence in here right now. I was screaming at my TV in anger because I look.
We all was.
Because I'm usually a tactical guy, right? And that's my thing as a coach. I always want to be the tactical guy, especially with defensive plays. But the one thing I've always said to young players that I've coached at a Sunday league level, whatever, I've always said, The one thing you must not do on a football pitch, especially in a defensive situation, is stretch for a ball that you have no idea where you're about to hit it to. Because even if the keeper does not call for that, the way he has to stretch his leg and swing for the ball, he has no clue where this ball is going. His foot is swinging left, his head is looking up, his right foot is tucked in. Bro, he has no control whatsoever. So you're already playing a dangerous game here, similar to I can't remember what player it was.
Eric
But I
Dyer.
think it was which
Eric
one
Dyer
was
was, no, Eric Dyer when he in the game against, I think it was was it Brentford, where he sliced it. So he's just literally
That's one. I forgot about that one.
He's just, you know what I
forgot
mean?
about that.
You're right. If once you're just stretching it, you just literally just going for broke, basically.
Yeah.
You've got no control over the situation.
I forgot about that one. The one I was thinking about, I think it was Crystal Palace many years ago. He used to be part of Premier League video packages where he swung his left leg back behind himself and the ball hit his heel and it flicked over his goalkeeper. If you guys remember that one. And I remember watching that video thinking, why did you even do that in the first place? That was, what possessed you to even do this? Because the ball's not, so you just swung your leg back thinking there. But you don't know if the ball's going to hit you, and it hit your heel and went over your goalkeeper to the back of the net. You know, these are the small things. As for the second one, listen, he's a bozo. That one, I can't justify that because you said it. Running at speed, number one, compose yourself. But even then, when the balls hit the post, you still have enough time to react. And he's side-footed it. Prime Ruud van Nistelrooy 2003. He side-footed it into the back of the net.
Fox in the box.
I was fuming. But anyway, Liverpool win. They go into within 4 points on the top four. So they're still in the top four race. We'll discuss the top four later on. We'll get to the other teams as well. But let's move forward. Well done to Liverpool. Not so much to Face. Let's go to you guys. Why not? Let's go to you guys. I think let's not wait too long on the win that you guys got. Brighton 2, Arsenal 4. A very entertaining game of football, I must say. Statistically shocked me because at the end of the game, I saw that Brighton had a lot more possession than Arsenal. But it's a good thing that Arsenal can come away with so much little possession, yet score so many convincing goals and quality goals like that. But we'll let you guys get into that because you guys are the Arsenal fans. We'll start with 80. 4-2 at Brighton. Not an easy place to go to, but a great result for the Arsenal.
Especially not for Arsenal.
Oh yeah, precisely. Yeah, because you've had some shockers in the past as well. Yeah. Shout out Ty for his rant on Neil Morpay. Yeah, just delve into the game for me. How did you feel during the game and after the game as well?
During the game, obviously, first 60, 70 minutes, yeah, it was like Arsenal playing well. I didn't feel like we could lose. That was it. And going into it, I was like shaky that depending on what Brighton we get, it could be tough. Didn't feel like we could lose. We were playing well. After they scored, that's when things get shaky. So about the stats about Brighton having more possession, I think up until 65 minutes we had more possession. When Brighton got into the game, they were just coming at us. You know what I mean? Like we started playing more counter attacking. Like get the ball and try. For instance, Martinelli's goal was very much get the ball and switch it to attack as soon as possible. Don't build up. So I think that's and Brighton are a good side, man. Even without after Potter's gone, they're still a good side. But I was happy with the result because it was definitely one of those games I was like, if we're gonna drop points in this next 5-game run, Brighton was a game where we could have dropped points. It could have been a draw going into it, but we scored early, which helped. That always helps, and we felt comfortable in the first half. And when we got our 3 goals in, I think that just helped cement that we were going to win. But my God, Odegaard is a special player.
You know what? Yeah, Dash, you can continue on that before you obviously give your thoughts on the game because I was watching this game with my boy Thomas, and I'm gonna tell you right now, I was out there confessing love for Odegaard the way I confessed love to my girl. It didn't make sense. I was just watching this guy mesmerized. Watching this guy mesmerized on the football pitch. You know what? You go into it because I mean you enjoyed him more than I did, obviously because he's your player.
Man, listen, you know what it is, and I think 80 would agree with me. Right now, we as Arsenal fans, we want to be wax lyrical about Odegaard, but we just want to keep him safe at the moment.
Yeah.
We don't want it to be where he's, on everybody's lips and rare. Just let him work. The way you see him play right now, it's not a fanfare. It's not like all of this razzmatazz. He is just putting in the work. That's the best way I can describe it, man. And a lot of people did describe Odegaard coming to Arsenal as like your Mesut Ozil kind of type of player, but with work rate. And we are now seeing the both. We've seen the work rate, because even when he was with us on loan, we saw like, oh, you know what, this guy's a real busybody, and especially playing in that 10 role. But now we've got more of a hybrid of what he's doing. Is more like a 10 and 8. He is getting up and down, literally. I think stats wise, if I'm stand corrected, that he's got the most miles like on the pitch, like he's doing the most running out of any midfielder in the Premier League right now. And yeah, man, I pretty much believe that he's deserving of the accolades that he's getting right now. But I can still see that there's more to come from Odegaard, because he's not yet reached that point where you can see a player is really feeling himself. When they get into that mode and everything's working, that ball to Martinelli is a player playing at the highest confidence. You know what I'm saying? He rarely loses the ball. He's always able to get out of tight spaces, very intricate. And he's not the captain that we're really used to, because obviously we've come from the eras of your Tony Adams, your Patrick Vieiras, those combative kind of even like your Granit Xhakas, who would fit the more of a mold of our captain or whatnot. But what we're seeing from Odegaard right now is leadership based on performance, like based on someone that's not giving up. He's running around. And if you actually pay attention, he's actually shouting at players. He's getting players to
100%.
get into positions, and
especially defensively.
Yeah,
That's
gets on to them, and you can see that he's a player that's constantly trying to tell the players, keep it ticking, keep it going. And many obviously doubted in regards to him being captain, but I feel like if you see it now, you understand why he's a captain. Not only obviously captain of Arsenal, he previously has been captain of Norway at his tender age as well. So there's definitely got something about him, and yeah, man, long it may continue for Odegaard. And just in terms of just Arsenal in that game alone, yeah, I'm with you as well, A. Watching the game, obviously we've scored early. Sometimes you think to yourself, oh, maybe have we scored too early? Because I felt like we sat back, and rightfully so, because obviously we wanted Brighton to come out so that we can obviously hit them on a break. But even Arteta alluded to it as well, in regards to like, you can't stop momentum in a game. It's very, very hard. When Brighton started getting on the ascendancy, you could see that it was very tough, and it is a tough game for us in Brighton. And anybody that goes to the Amex, it's a tough place to go to. And for us to come out of there like winning 4-2, which it could have been 4-3, barring obviously the offside. And goodness me, there was about 6 minutes left, so God knows. I think, what's his name, Matamo, something. Yeah, man, he was given. I think Ben White was handing him okay, but then obviously Tomiyasu came on. He's got to. It's very tough to come into a game like that. So you can see that we did struggle once we changed our fullbacks. But all in all, what I will say is these are the type of games that we go into, and you have to win. You come away from that, and you can just imagine how they must have been feeling in the change rooms. But they must have been buzzing, you know what I mean? Because those type of games is very difficult. And our history with Brighton, shows that we've not had our best times with Brighton. So to come away from the Amex to win 4-2, 7 points clear of Man City. I know we'll talk about the league table and stuff like that, but all we can do is do our job, innit? Like, all the results lined up very well for us, but all we can do is do our jobs. If we don't do our job, that we don't come away from it going into the next game against Newcastle with more confidence and trying to see what we can do at home. So, man, man, I loved every minute of the game. In terms of the spectacle, 2 managers as well. I got to big up my guy. You already know, man. Mikel Arteta, el jefe, el patron. You know what I mean? I'm for me, just to quickly touch on this one, I've been known to be a big supporter of Arteta from the get-go. And that's not just me trying to boast or anything like that. It's more in the sense like I wanted to see what our new manager can do. Sometimes we're too very quick on just like, oh, if it's not going well, you want to change. No, like if the board and everybody else was happy to stay with him, like what can us fans really say? Let's see what this guy's got to do. And it's not to say that he's accomplished like in terms of like a trope, like success. Obviously got the FA Cup, but you know, the big successes. But what I will say is we've seen firsthand how our club has changed. For me, that is one of the biggest things, like the culture of the club, the players that have gone out. And I always said that if we get the next person in, he has to be a manager. Like that's what we're used to. We're used to having an Arsene Wenger. We can't just have like a coach just coming in and then we're not happy. We need someone running the whole club, the whole culture, so that when we're watching our team, we're like, this is Arteta's team, and this is what we're seeing right now.
I agree. And fair play to Arteta as well, because me and Cahill on this show, we were at first I was trying to see what he was doing after he won the FA Cup, but it did go downhill a little bit. And you know, there's always going to be clips of people being pulled up saying, "No, you didn't know." But we all know there's a time where the majority of Arsenal fans also said, "This guy's just not it." They weren't sold.
Yeah, man, it's tough.
It's fine.
It's tough when you support a big team, innit? It's tough because there is just pressure on wanting to be successful.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, Sorry, you going to say?
No, I was just saying because, like you said, when you support a bigger team, there's high expectations. So that's why the turnover tends to be a lot because you expect more from them. So it's tough to say, oh, we want to give them a chance because we're like, but the expectation is here. So if you're hitting here for a whole season, we can't give you the time to give you a chance, you know. Do you know what I mean? So it was a risk. I mean, from the board's point of view, keep him on, especially when the fans are so unhappy. But they were probably thinking, we don't want to turn into a high turnover club. And again, obviously it's working now. We want to see how it ends at the end of the season. But maybe what Arteta told them was basically like, I need 5 years. First 3 are going to be shit. Don't even bother expecting anything. They're going to be bad. Until I can, 100%.
Yeah, 100%.
All the dead wood, getting new guys, but then also get the new guys to understand and play my system and do as I say. You know what I mean? So, you know, that faith. And another shout I'm going to give, which is a weird one, is to Stan Kroenke for letting Josh Kroenke run the day-to-day. Because
that was,
put his son in charge.
Yeah.
I came in and said, yeah, if the money's there, we're spending it. I'm listening to Edu, I'm listening to Mikel. The money's there, we're spending it. We're going to do this. We know what we want. We're going to go. We're going to do this as footballers. So, because Stan was treating it differently.
Yeah.
And
I agree with that.
Great since he's come in. So,
you can definitely see it in terms of the day-to-day. Like, look, there's so much we can go into in terms of how our club has changed. And that will be for a different, maybe even different show, different conversation. But we've seen templates. We've seen with Klopp, like when he came in, he said, like, this is going to take me about 3 years to just kind of get things going, and then we push on. We've seen with Man United right now, you're going to be willing to see, as you're seeing right now with Ten Hag, you're going to accept the fact that, you know what, yes, we would accept the next 3 years to build and push and then to kick on, because you want a stable guy. Most teams don't have that Chelsea kind of, blueprint where you've got the players there already. When a manager comes in, they just mold it up and then they go for that, short success. And it's worked for them brilliantly. But our teams who have been used to longevity in terms of management, it works different because we have a culture and we have a style that we're used to. So when we're watching football, you're like, nah, this ain't it. This is not the, we had Unai Emery, and, unfortunate enough, the way he plays, and you've seen in other clubs that he's been at, it didn't suit our style of play. So it wasn't the fact that he was a bad manager. I truly believe that he's not a bad manager because he's had success.
He's a very
But
good
it's
manager.
just our way wasn't the way in how he was trying to do it. So yeah,
I mean,
man.
that's the thing about before we move on. That's the thing about having, especially these two clubs. I think for me, I say they're the hardest jobs in football because you have two managers that were there 20 plus years, who, you know, no matter what there was thought of one of the or the other, they brought unprecedented level of excellence, unprecedented level of control at a club and success to both clubs. So when you change managers, you know, the thing is, I mean, Man United fans, they were split on how the club was left after Sir Alex Ferguson because, you know, he brought in like your Smallings and all that, and that was the plan to, you know, them to be the next 10 years, for example. Obviously, that didn't work out. Some people feel like he left these players out are not good enough, but my argument is, well, you're saying they're not good enough, or they were not good enough because of what was happening now. But back then, when Chris Smalling was scoring in Charity Shield games to get us back against Man City and all that, you were excited for the future, and rightfully so. Rightfully so. Like, you know, they're doing things. And same for Arsenal as well. Obviously, you know, he left with, you know, he brought in Aubameyang, who's a proven goal scorer, for example. See if he can bring in a manager that can feed off that and, you know, get Arsenal going forward, someone that can change and do new ideas. But the truth is, once you're used to a culture and a style of play, once it changes, it's gonna rattle you. And you just have to firm that. So they are the hardest ones. And quickly on Odegaard as well, I think it's sort of like the new age of captains, isn't it? You know, not to take anything away from Vieira and all that, because those guys would be able to be vocal with you, but boy, they were so talented. They were so good. But now it's kind of thing where I always blame it on Messi and Ronaldo, where they were captains of their countries, but you wouldn't look at them as the most vocal players on the pitch. But they led by the example they showed on the pitch.
Great example.
You know, Messi game winner, Ronaldo game winner. So you know that's kind of thing. But we'll move on. We'll go to Newcastle. There's not much to say about this game. I think they should have won the game because they had more than enough chances, but they drew 0-0 at home to Leeds. But regardless, they're still a team in form. So your game against them is tomorrow. For anyone that's listening, for anyone that's listening, that's Tuesday, the 3rd of January, just in case of, you know, release times and all that. Big game, big game, and more so big game because I don't think anyone expected Newcastle to be performing to this level right now. We knew eventually they'll build a team, but you know. So AT, go on. You go on first. Big game.
Okay, just to touch on the draw, Newcastle should have won. Yeah, it was unfortunate. I'm glad they didn't win because it built more of a gap between Arsenal and Newcastle. I was thinking about this today, and I'm actually saying this. This will be, as things stand, our biggest games this season is City, United, and Newcastle. Newcastle have only lost once. They've dropped points, but those have all been draws. They've only lost once. So it's more chance of us beating United and City than Newcastle because they've lost the least apart from Arsenal. Obviously, they've got the best defensive record in the league, I believe, still. And on top of that, the way things ended last season, I bet they're going into that game thinking we can have Arsenal. They're not that different from the end of last season. We can have them. We're not gonna sit here and let them play football around us. And Newcastle's player, like Almiron, is a different player. He's on 9 goals. Listen, I was listening to stats. His previous 9, it took him 120 games to get to 9 goals. Now he's 9 in 16 or something like that. Look, Joe Linton, everything. That Newcastle team with how it's going to be a big game. It's going to be a difficult game. A lot of people will be happy with a point. I want 3 because if we give them a point, I think that momentum Newcastle goes on. And, you know, momentum is a big thing in the season. Obviously, City are dropping points here and there. That's their problem. But Newcastle could come out of nowhere, and all of a sudden we're like, oh wait, you know, they're not that far behind. The way they play football as well, I think that's going to be difficult for Arsenal tomorrow because they don't sit back. So and Arsenal do this thing where, you know, we like to get possession of the ball, pass it around, but we'll break you down, and, you know, we got nice wingers as well for counter attack. But I feel Newcastle will do the same thing to us. That's the problem. And right now, defensively, we're not the best coming off the World Cup. Just maybe it might be World Cup rust, but yeah. So Hopefully Arsenal wins, but I do think it might be a draw. No, I want us to win, but I
Yeah.
think it's a draw. I do think it might be a draw.
Dash, quickly on Newcastle as well. So they're in a bit of a unique position here because even if they lose, personally, I don't think a loss will derail them too much. But the thing being, even if they don't make the top 4, that wasn't expectation in the first place. I think their fans were happy with a top 10, a gradual build, buy some more players in, but obviously they're in this position now where they're actually competing for a top 4 spot. So obviously they don't want that to go. Do you go on. Do you see them as do you see a loss for them being potentially very damaging, or considering where they are now, or do you think they'll be fine regardless?
I don't think I don't think they will see it as being damaging. They won't walk away from the game and thinking, "Oh my goodness, our season's been derailed or done." What you will get with this Newcastle team, and what you will get with Eddie Howe now, and what he's telling those players is like, when they come away from this game, they're going to be disappointed with a loss. That's where now they've built themselves up. Like, they now genuinely feel that they can compete with the top teams. They're at that point where they feel league position wise they're on merit, and how they've been playing is on merit. They've not lost, as you said, they've only lost one game, so they're feeding themselves. Even Eddie Howe right now has been telling these players, like, look, top 4 is there for you. Go and grab it. Like, you don't need to be performing as if like you don't deserve this. You've been putting in the work. So would it derail them? No. Would they feel disappointed? Yes. So I'm expecting a top Newcastle team to come to the Emirates, and off the back of last season, it's going to be spicy because both teams now are feeling like, Arsenal will definitely feel like, they owe Newcastle one. And Newcastle will be feeling like, well, we derailed your top 4. So there's going to be a bit of spice to that. What I will say for this season, and how I've noticed Arsenal playing, if you give Arsenal any type of motivation, they're going for your throat. And I've liked this Arsenal right now. Like, Arteta using old tweets, or if a player said something, he's using this as motivation, and he's going to use the back of last season going to Newcastle. And we saw in the documentary, I don't think it was footballing things, it was the mental that cost us in that game there. We've usually gone to Newcastle and handled Newcastle, St. James's Park very, very well. We come away from there like winning 1-0. We handled the games. I think apart from the RIP Cheick Tiote, the 4-goal thriller, that's the only time I can remember us really coming away from there and just like, right, what happened? But most times, we've seen the Bergkamp when he absolutely ripped Davies ass and cost his whole career. So we've done well at Newcastle, but on this occasion, now Newcastle, with what they're building, they're going to come to the Emirates and they're going to be fired up, thinking like, we've done you. As you said, it's not much different of a team than you had last. We haven't got Jesus on this occasion, but we've got Eddie Nketiah obviously pushing the front line right now, and he's doing well. He scored. So what I will say, my confidence is quite high for this game. I believe we're going to win this game, but it's not going to be an easy game. It's going to be a tough game, but I think we'll be motivated enough to get the 3 points.
All right. Well, before we move on from Arsenal and Newcastle, you guys got some big games coming up, so I think we're going to try and see. I want to talk about your next 6 fixtures. I want to list the names.
Yeah.
And then you just tell me we can move on.
I'm like 80 right now as well, because I know the teams that are coming up.
There you go. Out of 18 points, how many do you think you can collect? And then just there. So you just give me a number, and then we go to the next team. All right. Okay. So you have Newcastle coming up tomorrow at the Emirates. After the FA Cup game, you go to White Hart Lane, or the new Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, whatever it's called, for the North London derby. Then at home, the weekend after, you are at home to Manchester United. Then you go away to Everton in February. Brentford visit the Emirates the week after. And then 4 days later, 7:30, Arsenal versus Manchester City. That's February 15th. Right. So out of 18 points, give me a number.
Just quickly, is the Arsenal City game at Emirates?
Yes.
Okay.
And it's not about what you want; it's rather a prediction of what realistically you can get. And if you think 4 points is there, I wouldn't even argue against it because right now you are the informed side, but
Mm.
you have to give me a number. So give me a number. Out of 18, how many
Hey, so
points would
what
you
was
guys
it? So
collect?
how many games is that?
6
6.
games.
6 games, 18
Yep.
points. Okay, go on, Eddie. I'll let you go
Okay,
first.
cool. Out of
What would you
18,
expect to be your minimum? I think I'll phrase it that way.
oh,
What's the
minimum.
minimum you would expect from
Our
those 6
minimum
games?
is 12 points.
Minimum
Yeah.
12 points. Okay.
Minimum is 12 points. I genuinely think he'll get the. I think he'll get 15 points.
Okay. Um, I'll go off the 12 points. Out of the 12 points, after 18 points, which are the 2 games you think are losable? I think one's gonna be City because obviously they're the challengers. What's the other team?
If City's at the Emirates, we can't lose. Not that they won't be able to beat us, because I don't believe if we lose at Emirates, we're not winning at the Etihad at all.
Okay.
Mm.
That's why I'm
Okay.
saying we can't. We have to take away at least 1 point at Emirates.
Okay.
That is what Arteta's telling them.
What's the other game you think you could potentially drop points?
Tottenham. Every time we beat
Tottenham.
them at Emirates, they beat us at White Lane. Every
That's,
single time.
that is a
Hate
theme.
it.
That is a theme.
I hate it. I hate it so much every single time. So that's why. That's what I'm thinking.
Okay. All right, Dash.
Yeah, do you know what it is? It's like, and I think you've just alluded to it. It's just like from what you expect and what you're hoping for. That's where I'm in the.
Do you expect? Do minimum points expected. Minimum points
Nah.
expected.
Not to sound like I'm catting what 80's saying, but I said minimum obviously 12. I really don't expect us anything below that in terms of like the run of games that we have. But yeah, you would be happy if to get 15 points out of that run right there. Would be happy because what I would suggest to get 15 points would be, you win some games and you draw some games, but within that run, don't lose. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I would say in terms of that. So 15 points, if we was to get 15 points out of the 18, very, very happy. We'll be playing teams that are, like Man United, who are trying to push for top 4 as well. So there's potential to kind of create more distance there. Obviously, with Man City, that is the big game. And I agree with 80, man. Like, we need to take full advantage of our home tie with them. If we was to get a win, brilliant. If we're able to draw, then in the grand scheme of things, in terms of the league and how you're pushing for it, you've just nicked points off your rivals and stuff like that. So in that game alone, it's just we can't lose to Man City. It's literally, and I hope that we kind of rise to the occasion. I know that the Emirates is going to be bumping on that day. What will give me even more confidence when I think back to our game against City last season, where obviously Xhaka got sent off and that, I think up until that point, we was balling.
Literally just if Haaland wasn't on that team, I would say we're getting 3 points. We're getting 6 points. Honestly, because of the way we played them, their team isn't that different from where we faced them at the Emirates last season. So I would say we'd get 6 points. But he is a difference maker.
Difference maker.
Yeah, that's why I'm more
maker.
skeptical. Yeah.
Listen, I'm just gonna say this for your peace of mind. You better hope he's not the Haaland that turned up against Man United at the Etihad. Otherwise, you're gonna cry the way I did. That was a painful experience.
But you know what? Just to quickly touch on that, the Haaland that turned up against you guys, and if you go and watch the game back properly, defensively, you guys were just shocking.
Oh, we gave him everything. We gave him everything.
You know what I mean? So
and
it's games that I've seen where the teams have been very good defensively against Man City, and then Haaland being Haaland, he gets a goal, but he's been quite ineffective. So I would hope when it comes to us and Arsenal, defensively, we're at the races where you know to yourself, if you concede a goal, it's like, right, that's a Haaland, not more like how you lot conceded goals where you're just like, right, you lot are gifting him all this kind of stuff. So I think it's going to be one of those games for Man City. It is going to be a tough game for Man City, rather than people just thinking, Man City is going to come to the Emirates and do us over. So Yeah.
Fair enough.
But look at where we're at now, man. When we're talking like this, it's crazy.
We will move on now to Man United, who won 1-0 away at Wolves. Funny one here, actually. I'm looking at the table right now, and Man City are closer to Man United than they are Arsenal. That's an interesting one, but we'll get into that.
Wow.
Yeah, Man United are 4
How
points
many
behind
points?
City. 4 points is between Man United and Man City right now.
Wow.
And Man United play Man City in 2 weeks, actually. So that's an interesting scenario. But anyway, Man United win 1-0. Marcus Rashford continues his good form after sleeping a bit late. Apparently, he woke up to his alarm and then turned it off and went back to bed. I feel it because sometimes I turn up to wake up at like 45 minutes later. It is what it is. But he was punished. He was on the bench. Man United didn't play well, and he came off the bench. And then Man United played well, and then they got the W. So I'll put my 2 pence in here first before I ask the questions to you guys. I'm just happy Rashford's continuing his good form. It's very important that he continues the momentum because he had a decent World Cup in my opinion, and he's come back to Man United. He's in good form. He's the difference maker for the team again, and I feel like for a little bit of self-boasting, I feel a bit justified because when I first ever jumped into a Twitter space, the discussion about Man United was, can you build a team around Marcus Rashford or can Marcus Rashford be a difference maker? And I argued that I don't firmly believe that the next era of football will be building around one single individual, but Rashford is very much part of a big future of Man United. If Man United are going to have a huge future winning trophies, Marcus Rashford is going to be playing a major part in that. And I was told that's not going to be the case. They didn't really have a belief in him. Right now, he looks like the guy for Man United, and I want it to continue because I don't think there's anyone else in that squad that really deserves to push on and really become the key man for United. Because even in his worst form, he'll still scoring at least 20 for us in a season, whereas others were not performing. And you're seeing it. You're seeing it. But good win, Ten Hag. Another win. I think it's now 16 wins in 23 games, which is good considering how Man United fans feel about how Man United play on a week-to-week basis. Wolves, on the other hand, I mean, new manager, so they're still trying to figure it out. But I'm just happy we didn't get beaten by the new manager bounce. Dash.
Yes.
Manchester United top 4 expectations. Now that they are finding some good form, Liverpool are still not very much convincing. Spurs are, well, we'll get into them very, very soon, believe me. And Newcastle, obviously, the wild card, because they've exceeded expectations quite early into their new money regime. Do you consider Man United a favourite for the top 4?
Yes, because you've got all the things that were giving you issues and problems. You've kind of ironed it out. The managers definitely found a way of playing that's going to get results, and you've got players that are finding form at the right time as well. Once you've got that, we've seen it on many occasions. Once you got that, that's what you build on. You know, someone, and I hate sometimes butchering people's surnames and that like that because obviously it's their family name, but from Trashy to Rashi, he's got his mind on the game right now and he's performing. And many people laughed at the whole comparison between him and Mbappe or whatever, but I kind of understood it. You know, we're not saying that he is Mbappe or he's like Mbappe, but if you've got a player like that that can be effective enough for you in that kind of ilk, then you've got to push him in the direction of like for him to build on that confidence. Now, obviously, he's woke up late. He's been punished in regards to his tardiness or whatever. But one way you can react is by coming off the bench and scoring. You know, you're showing once again the validation of like why you should be playing. Barring disciplinary, he's had a very, very pre-World Cup. He's gone into the World Cup with many also doubted he's him being selected for England because it's like he didn't do so well the previous season, but coming into this new season he's done well. He's had a good World Cup. He scored goals. That's all you can ask for. He's a forward. He scored goals. He's come off the back of the World Cup and he's still scoring goals. Get him, Martial, all the other players playing around him. If they're playing well, they're gonna do well. So in the long kind of answer, yeah, I think Man United have what it takes to be able to get top four. You know, in a team like Man United, you need to be trying to get top four. And, you know, all of this is all vindication of why you don't need Ronaldo. You know what I'm saying? Because you've got young players coming through. You got young players that can step up to the plate. But with a superstar like Ronaldo, that will stifle. As much as Ronaldo will get the accolades for scoring 18 goals the previous season or whatever, but what was detrimental was the club's form. You know what I mean? The club, how they were playing in its entirety. So, yeah, man. Man United, I believe they can get top four.
That's fair. 80? Anything to add on to that?
Yeah. Rashford's on form. I feel like the second goal should have counted, personally.
Yeah, yeah.
I feel like there's nothing he could have done about his hand. That was an handball. He didn't use it to. It either hits his hand or his body. It still goes in. I thought he should have got two. I don't know what Ten Hag is doing out there, but he's got Rashford's mind. They're in sync together. Even Rashford not getting disciplined, coming out in the post match conference saying, yeah, you know, I woke up late. You know what I mean?
Accountability.
Exactly. Even though his demeanor, everything is like, it feels like you look at Rashford and think to yourself, even if you're 2-0 down, you're like, yeah, bring on Rashford. 40 minutes left. Something's gonna happen. I feel like we can win this. Yeah, he seems reliable. So, and if that continues, definitely, I think you definitely get top four. But yeah, look, especially after this weekend's results, I look around you and who do you feel that beats United to top four right now? You know what I mean? The team playing well, whether Ronaldo was toxic or not, that element has gone in it. So everyone's leaving it. And Ten Hag has taken the reins of the team as well, which is a good thing. He's not. It very much feels like, this is Ten Hag's team. I don't feel like there's other people who have more input or stopping things from happening. It feels like if Ten Hag says no, it's a no. It's not let's run it up the chain and see if it's actually a no. It's a no. He says yes, it's a yes. And it's working out for you guys.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Just a quick one. It's very similar, and you know, I'm bringing it back to Arsenal, but very similar to Arteta's situation with the Aubameyangs, you know, the Lacazettes and stuff like that. It's just like, once you take control of that situation, look at the message it sends to the other players. It's like, like, you know, Ronaldo's getting treated like this, or Aubameyang is, you know, he has to sit on the bench, or there's a disciplinary, whatever. That means that the Marcus Rashford now can turn around and be like, you know what, I have to accept it as well. Because if the likes of Ronaldo's getting, you know, put with the under 21s and all that kind of stuff, who am I to wake up late and not accept this punishment? And the accountability part of it is the key thing, because you know what, that also sends a message to your teammates like, yo, you done wrong, you've accepted it, you put your hands up for the sake of the team, let's get it cracking. What you then need to do is, while you're sitting on this bench, when you're ready to be called upon, you need to come and help this team. And that's what he did.
Yeah, no, it's fair. Putting on Ronaldo on my side, just good luck in Saudi Arabia, I guess. Me personally, I'm a fan of getting racks. I was not happy with the way it ended. I think that interview was dumb. At the same time, he made some valid points about the club and some of the players. Some people don't like to hear it, and it's the issue about Man United that will continue to happen. That I want Ten Hag to solve.
Kojo, sorry to cut you. You see that Ronaldo thing, yeah? And you've said this yourself, like a long while ago. None of the stuff that Ronaldo said was any secret. He didn't bring anything new to the table, whatever. What it was is just that it's coming from Ronaldo's mouth. Everything that he did in that interview was staged for his exit from Man United. I don't care what anybody tries to say, it's for the better of Man United. He did it to No, he positioned himself because in the summer, where he was thought to himself like, you know, I'm Ronaldo, Man United, I've come home, you'll probably let me go and but Man United were like, no, we paid for you, bro. Like, you can't leave here for free. We can't just amicably just let you leave or whatever. It's business. Once he realized he was not gonna go in the summer, that's where everything went tits up, and that's when he used an entity as the media to get the leverage that he needed in order for him to leave. And now leaving, because all the stuff that he spewed on that interview saying, I want to end at the top level. If you really wanted to end at the top level, you would have been willing. And I'm not saying that he should, but I'm just saying these are the things that you could do. Drop your wages a little bit, you know, because the outstanding thing was the fact that you're asking for too much money at your age. Okay, possibly drop the wage, but you ain't gonna drop that because it comes with his status in it. If you drop the P's, you know, he must be dropping in his career, whatever, whatnot. So he's not accepted that. Now for him to go to, is it Saudi Arabia?
Yeah.
You know, in the grand scheme of things, and I'm with you as well, Kojo, in terms of like, go and get your bag. This is not, we're not pocket watching. But for you to be turning around and saying that you want to play at this level, whatever, and it's not worked out for you, and then you go to this Saudi Arabia where the league, if he was switching at missed passes at Man United and players not getting him the ball, whatever, what the hell is he going to be doing when he's in Saudi Arabia?
What I will say is, I agree. The motives for the interview, we all know what the motive was, and we all know what he wanted to do. And whether he was genuine about what he was saying, because you're right, it's not new, but whether he was genuine about the whole talking about the Glazers and all that, that for me, that'll be interpreted however people want to do. There'll be a back and forth thing on that. The reason why I enjoyed the interview and what happened afterwards is because there is power in certain individuals of football, and I don't like it. Don't get me wrong. I don't like the fact that a Messi or Ronaldo can open their mouth and it suddenly just changes everything about a club or how fans react. Or I hate that stuff. But for me, that's nonsense. You shouldn't hold on to one individual that you don't even know onto every word and, you know, influence the club and you so much. But what's happened is, as much as Man United fans have been saying it, as much as Gary Neville and any other person said it, when they're speaking about the Glazers, it's done niche for the club. And I'm not saying Ronaldo did it for the club. What I'm saying is, unfortunately, because he has such power in terms of what he says, once he said it, it's like the shares of everything that Man United dropped. Team viewer want to run away. The Glazers are not making their money. Man United have 26 million in the coffers as a club. Forget about transfer kitty. As a club, they have 26 million, and that's all coming out now because, you know, the fact that why do they want to sell? Because Man United are not profitable anymore. And these things started coming out more and more after that interview. Okay, why is he saying that? Why is he saying that the training facilities have not changed since 2009? Like, all these things had, but it's even those little things that mean a lot, because you got to be thinking, he's come home. So anyway, he's come home, quote unquote, and he's still seeing the same things that he was seeing with Nani and Obertan in 2009. Just as Obertan came through the door and said hello to him, that's when he left. Like, you know, it's not good. It's not good. Whereas every other club around you, the reason why they've been a lot more successful than you in recent times is because you can see that they've changed things. And even if it's not many, things are changing, and that's the main thing. But look, he's gone to Saudi Arabia. The wage thing and going to other clubs, you're right, he could have dropped his wage a little, but what is little to Ronaldo? That's the problem. You know what I'm saying? And I know from hearing it anyway, I don't know if it's absolute fact, but apparently Napoli were the most interested in the club. Obviously, they're Champions League club. But I don't think Napoli are anywhere near ready to offer, let alone, let's say, 300k to a Ronaldo, let alone Wales and Man United. But look, he didn't get a Champions League move. I didn't think it was going to happen anyway. I think everyone else is quite realistic about that. And he's gone to Saudi Arabia now, and he's got one head of a ridiculous contract. The money he's earning at Man United, he's earning that in a day.
Mr.
In Saudi
Kipling.
Arabia now. Yeah,
Mr. Kipling cake.
His weekly wage is now a daily wage in Saudi Arabia. That's ridiculous. So go and get your bag, retire at 40 like you said you want to. And truth be told, as a football fan in general, what more could the guy do? He's won leagues in different countries. He's won the Champions League. He's won the trophy of his country. What's he here for now? Just get out. If it wasn't for certain cases, he would have gone to America. But anyway, a legend. You know, no one get in trouble here. By the way, we move on. So he's going to get his bag. Someone who is not enjoying his bag right now is Antonio Conte. As Spurs lose 2-0 at home to Aston Villa. Now, we'll try and wrap this one up real quick because time is moving and we're going to have to try and get through this. Happy New Year, same old Spurs. AT.
Spurs are trash.
Your neighbor. Oh, well, there you go.
That's the issue. I'm not even. You know what? everyone's going to see that I'm an Arsenal fan and think I'm being biased. Take away the Arsenal side of it. At the beginning of this season, I thought Spurs were going to be a problem. Spurs are trash. That is the end of it. Yeah, Conte's style of football, they don't like it. The fans don't like it. Yeah, it's not suitable. Yeah, they ain't got the players. But this is the same issue they've had year in, year out. You know what I'm trying to say? Even other clubs, we use other clubs for example, United, Arsenal, even Chelsea, Liverpool, whatever. When we've had that issue, we've done something to try and change it at the very least. Something drastic. Spurs do the same thing over and over again. You know what I'm trying to say? They're trash. I don't even know what to tell you. I watched that game. I don't know what to tell you. I couldn't. Do you know what I mean? We could go through this tactically. We could say they were unlucky. I don't think they were unlucky. I think Emery told Aston Villa that we can win this game. I think that was his team talk at the beginning. I don't think he did an hour. I think he went in there 2 minutes before the game and said, "We can win this game." He said, "Trust me." Honestly, trust me.
Yeah.
The goal will open up for you. Their first, everyone saw Aston Villa's first goal. You know what I'm trying to say? It wasn't like Aston Villa outplayed them doing that first goal. It was, Lloris anyway. I don't want to talk on Lloris anymore because
talk the talk, bro.
someone tried to tell me Lloris was a great keeper. I said to them, listen, Lloris's days have been done. You know, I said they've been done. And it wasn't even Lloris in goal, was it? It was Lloris.
It was Lloris.
It was Lloris in goal. See?
It was Lloris.
It was Lloris in goal.
Another howler.
Another howl. Thank you very much. His first game back. Anyway, so I don't know. Honestly, I'm trying to rack my brain and think to myself, what would you say Spurs right now to turn things around? My problem is, no matter what you give them, I would say in 10 games would be right back here again. They would win for 7, and then 3 games calamity. We'd be right back here again. It's more than just, maybe mentality of like Spurs as a whole, in the sense that they might get too comfortable or familiar with a certain level. You know what I mean? And then because it's almost like they rise a bit, and once they get that little rise, they don't want it anymore. Do you know what I mean? On a player level, and then on a club level, they don't want it anymore, and they start dipping in. That players just start slowly dipping in form. You know what I'm saying? Things you see a player do last week easily, it comes to this week and that. But you just did it last week against a harder opponent, or you just scored a hat trick. So why can't you score 1 today? It was a calamity. That Aston Villa game was for me bad. I mean, they had a few chances, but it's sad, isn't it? I'm biased. It's just sad.
Now, Dash, I will ask you a question in a second, but I'm going to just say this about the Tottenham very quickly, and they have 3 problems: the club, the fans, and the players. And that is an entity within itself as one go. Don't get me wrong, but I'm separating them for certain reasons. Look, the club itself have had many warnings from previous management already about what needs to happen with this club. The recently most successful manager in Pochettino, in terms of what he did with the team, told them in the midst of them being good that we need to change things because there is going to be a downfall here. The club didn't listen. Instead, they gave him Musa Sissoko. Not even going to go any further than that about that player, right? And then they brought it exactly, and then they brought in Jose Mourinho. And the thing is, we all know about Jose Mourinho. If you're gonna bring him in, you gotta give him everything he desires, and that's as simple as it gets. Same as Conte, because Conte might have a shocking European record, but domestically, the guy knows what he's doing. He knows exactly what he's doing, but he ain't done that either. Cool. That's number 2. Now, number 1. That's number 2. That's number 1. Number 2, is the fans. The fans feel like this team should be doing a lot more better than it is. And my thing was, I thought they were going to be a problem based off the thought that I thought they could keep the front 3 fit, because with that front 3, they seem to do a lot. So even if the rest of the team is shaky, when you get the ball to Kulusevski, Kane, and Son, things tend to happen. But their issue also is they idolize players, or certain players, that just don't do it enough for them on a consistent basis. And I keep using Son as a name of reference because, don't get me wrong, I know how good the guy is. on his day, just why I hate that term, but it's fact. On his day, he is one of the best players in the league, maybe in Europe. Like, you know, he is a top class player. We saw it last year, scored many goals, joint top goal scorer in the league, had a stellar year, right? But my issue with players like Son is Son has this issue that they blame Kane for a lot. Where I'm like, don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to give Kane a buy in the big games where he's not performed for them, but a lot of these big games he's performed whilst injured. He shouldn't be starting, especially that Champions League final. He should never start that game. But Pochettino made the point of, you know, when Harry Kane's fit, how do you not start it? Because he can be a difference maker. Fair play. But he was injured. Son, in so many of these big games, has not performed. And he continues to do so. And he's not a consistent player either. I don't care about the Golden Boot last year. It is a wonderful achievement to have the Golden Boot last year, but if you watch the spells in which he got goals, it's spells. A lot of them were dry spells, and he didn't perform. He's nowhere to be found. And then, so that's the club, the players, that's fans, and then the players. Oh, my goodness. They're just not that good. They're just not that good. And we're talking about it. Laurie is past his sell by date. That's gone. If we talk about the defense, Romero's the only one that really has credit in the bank for being a decent defender. Other than that,
Decent.
Doherty, Dyer,
Davison
Sanchez,
Dyer in the name. Dyer in the name.
Dyer
Oh
in the
my
name.
days.
Davison Sanchez, who is better at 17 than he is at 27. Ben Davies, who is not good enough fullback, so he's playing centre back. He's not even doing that right. Clement Longley, moving on. And then you go into the midfield. Højbjerg, decent player. Don't get me wrong, he is a decent player, but he's not a game changer. He's not a top 4 player in my opinion.
You forgot to even mention Perisic, who they're relying on some 30. What was it, 35?
I allow Perisic. The reason I allow Perisic is because I see a guy trying to make things happen in the pitch despite his age. He's there for his final big contract. That's literally his job there. And other than
He
that,
even shouldn't be the guy they're relying on to make things happen.
Yeah, that's the point I'm
That's
making.
the point. Yeah, that is exactly the point you're making.
they should
100%.
be looking at him as saying, you have so much experience in this game. Someone like Ryan Sessegnon and Jess Spence, these kind of guys can learn from you playing that wing back role, and let's see what we can do in the future. Instead, he's becoming a key man for them. Doesn't make sense. But the point for it is, I just feel like there is so much over rating on so many levels. I think the club think the players are better than they are. I think the fans think the players and the club should be doing a lot more. And then I think some of these players feel like they are a lot better than they are, and they're not. But I will say this final thing before I move on and ask Stash's question. One thing Spurs fans need to really, really learn is something that Arsenal fans did one time ago, which very upsetting. But I get it at the same time because they were upset. In the heat of the moment is what it is. But remember the time when you brought a Boué off the pitch and he had one of the worst performances known to man, and he got booed directly off the pitch, right? Don't get me wrong. And this guy's not near Boué's level either, because Boué is a much better player. But Emerson Royale has obviously not had a wonderful time at Tottenham at all, right? But he comes on the pitch and he gets booed immediately. And I'm thinking, this is someone who has had a torrid time. The one thing you surely need to do when you're behind in this game is at least try and G up the players, try and give you some level of performance to get you back in the game. And you booed him off on the pitch. Jess Spence comes on. Obviously, he hasn't had much of a chance, so they feel a bit iffy about that. They cheered him. He's a young boy, so I'm happy they cheered him. Don't get me wrong. But you got to be fair to your players. And this is the thing. You got to realize their level. And once you realize their level, you got to try and do everything to G them up whilst they're here. I never liked Marouane Fellaini. But anytime I went to Old Trafford, I didn't see man boo his head off. I was like, you know what? Come onto the pitch and try and make something happen. And to be fair to his credit, sometimes he was a game changer for Manchester United Football Club. You got to support your players. So if you can't do that, quiet and don't say anything like you did for the other guys that came on, because it was utter silence for other individuals that came on the pitch, but you're booing this guy. I get it. He ain't been good for Tottenham and he will go eventually. But until then, he is your player. Treat him with some damn respect and support him. And if you're not going to do that, just keep your mouth shut. But they deserve to be where they are. I don't think they're going to make top 4. Dash, Conte, where does he go from here? Because he just keeps complaining week in and week out. And honestly, me personally, I hear it because I think he's just tired. because I've heard the same excuse. I've said the same complaints. Sorry, from many other managers that have been there. And well, yeah.
First and foremost, that was just Spurs doing the Spursy on the first day of 2003. And I'm not gonna sugarcoat this, because a lot of the times, and hey, you know this, innit? Whenever a Spurs question gets put to us as Arsenal fans, it automatically is deemed as like, oh, you're only talking like this because you support Arsenal. I'm gonna keep it real. The whole situation with Conte, the writing was on the wall from the get-go. He signed a 2-year contract, if I'm not mistaken, right? That in itself shows you the ambition of what this manager's about. Not only that, previous to that, before I think they signed Nuno, obviously he was touted to be the manager, and then they went for Nuno. He already expressed how he felt about Spurs. Okay, Nuno's come in. He's then done what he did. They got rid of him. They brought back Conte, and I'm sure Spurs were wax lyrical and got him to the club, whatever. Maybe promised him all these kind of things. We've seen throughout last season, in every interview that he's had when they lose or whatever, he keeps telling the fans and the media what Spurs is all about. His last interview, he said it like, what you lot are expecting from this team, it's not going to happen like this. You lot need to go through a process. And this is where I keep saying about Spurs at the moment. Everything they do is very synthetic, based on the fact that they feel like they're a club and a team that's they want them to be here, but they've not gone through the legwork. They've not done the legwork. You know what I mean? Yes, you've done the whole new stadium and stuff like that, but you've not even had time to really embed yourself in that stadium yet. They've not gone for a real good run with that stadium. They've not built it as a fortress and all these kind of stuff. Every team goes through, every top team goes through that process, but instantly they feel like they deserve to be in that place. Other teams are getting stronger year in, year out. They made Champions League. You see, and this is what I was saying, the difference that it would have been between the two teams. If we made Champions League, our rise would have been much better, because the players that we've been able to attract, the team that we're trying to build would have been, we can see like the difference of making Champions League. They've made Champions League, and look who they've signed.
Yeah.
Look at this. Look at the signings. Let's just take that in its entirety. So no wonder someone like Conte is thinking to yourself, right, not only am I going to be trying to compete for another run at top 4 for next season, we're in Champions League right now, but look at the players. The 11 might be okay for what I can do, but if there's no Kulusevski, who comes in next? If Richarlison's injured, so if Son doesn't perform well, who's next? They've always been heavily reliant on Harry Kane, and now Harry Kane has become this hybrid of a 9, 10, 8, whatever he wants to do right now, and then they will not have it within themselves to be like, you know what, let's go and get a top striker. They're not going to do that. You know what I'm saying? So,
and to add to that, before you continue as well, now they were relying on Bentancur, and now he's injured. The midfield looks lost.
It looks lost, So don't let all these Spurs fans fool you now about their frustration, because when they brought in Basuma, they were going crazy. Oh, this is the type of midfielder that, and they were dissing us. Oh, Arsenal never got in. We beat Arsenal to the punch. They've got the Jed Spence, young player from what's it called? We beat Arsenal to the punch. All of these players, they were celebrating. But when we were trying to tell them, like, this ain't it for you guys. But we was known as the jealous. You're just hating. You never made Champions League. We was like, all right, cool. So most times, as Arsenal fans, we don't really want to get into this whole Spurs thing, because we're always known as like, we're just hating Arsenal fans. But now you can see what we were saying at the beginning of the season, like, yo, this is not going to be enough. But because of the fact that they have the likes of a Conte, who, as you said, domestically has proven himself, you think to yourself, that could be the equalizer. But even himself, if you've got a manager that's really just being like, look, man, I'm working with the bare bones here. I'm trying to tell you guys, you're going to need more than this. You're going to need to go through the process or whatever. But with that being said, I'm going to try my best. you can't really feel too confident with a manager like that. Yet again is going into the season with questions about whether or not he's going to sign a new contract. Now, you as a player as well, you're going to be sitting there and thinking to yourself, you're telling me to do this and do that, but are you even going to be staying here in the summer? Like, what's the point? So this is the risk that they're running through, but this is what they wanted, you know. And I keep saying it's synthetic because you went for Jose Mourinho. You thought to yourself, just because you got the name, that's going to bring you success. I'm not going to lie. When Spurs signed Mourinho, I thought to myself, flipping hell, this could be a trophy because Mourinho gets trophies.
Yeah.
But the club, once again, and what you said, Kojo, there must be an issue, and what you said as well, there must definitely be an issue in terms of like the fabrics of the club, because even though Mourinho's gone there, it's not worked for him.
Yeah.
A Conte's gone there, it's not worked for him. So is it the managers or is it the club? And this is what's going to be the overriding question. That's the real question that you need to ask. Is it the managers or is it the club?
Right. Well, we'll see. When they lose another game, we'll discuss that. But but you know, we were going to talk about City, but you know what, time is flying. So I'll sum up that real quickly. Haaland scored, then had a little bitch fit at Ben Godfrey.
That was funny.
Started muttering to himself. I don't know what he was muttering, but he was carried off for one. Man started doing crazy tackles, was celebrating and looking to the sky.
He malfunctioned. He malfunctioned.
The cyber malfunctioned. Yes, he did. The Duracell battery wasn't working properly, and he did all of that. He did all of that only for the Demarai Gray to score the best goal of the evening with a wonderful strike. That bent.
He's got that in his locker. He done that against us.
Yes, he did.
Yeah,
he did. So he's got that in his locker. Some well-deserved rice and peas when he got home. Was that?
Yeah, he slipped. Yeah, he slipped as well. Just before
like, he literally slipped, stood up, took a little touch, and then went whack. Like didn't even need to recompose himself. That was anyway.
Yeah. So yeah, brilliant goal, top goal. Demarai Gray. I hope you enjoyed some well-deserved oxtail and some jerk chicken patties, man. My guy.
Thank you, Greg.
Thank you, Greg. So that leaves Arsenal at the top, 7 points clear. Everton with a much-needed point and a place where I think everyone thought they were going to get destroyed, but they got a well-needed and deserved point, to be fair to them. AT, I'm going to come back to your music before we do go. So yes, obviously you spoke about the project and the story behind it and the release date. What's the biggest takeaway before we give a preview to one of the tracks on the album? What's the biggest takeaway you want from people listening to this album?
I want people to enjoy it. I think that's always the takeaway for me. I want people to listen. I want people to enjoy and relate, even if you don't relate to the story. Like literally, just like the feel of it. Like, yeah, I get it. I get why you're saying this and how you must have felt, because I felt like this with my own situation, my own feelings, and also the flip side of I get the fun vibe you're going for here. Like this makes me laugh, thinking back to all the crazy times I've had as well. Like they were fucked up when I was going through it, but now I can laugh about it. So that's it. And I want people to listen all the way through and feel like, even though it's all connected, that you could just take away one song, any song, and just be like, I can listen to this on its own over and over and over and over again. So that's the feeling I was going for, and just get the story.
No, beautiful. And I've been lucky enough to listen to the project before it's come out as well. The full project it is a wonderful project. No skippable tunes, unlike certain Canadians from the '60s with their albums. But anyway,
Drake, I hope you're listening, mate.
You know what I mean, bro? I'm gonna get bad debt directs on Drake and his next project.
Well, you can come for me, boy, because I definitely ain't talking about Justin Bieber. He does a good album. But anyway, this is a preview to one of the tracks. It is called Risk and Desire. Have a listen.
Tell them that I'm in my bag. We don't take all this risk for free. Middle of the night, gotta make this cheese. Never been gang, but it's still one pre. Cause I said the plug come from the West Indies. Gotta put it all on green. Better yet, double down all on me. Cause I've been through it all, but I'm still so seen. So I take what I make, cause this life ain't cheap. Tell you this is all I desire. Baby girl, Leng with a body on 10, and she still have a voice like Mariah. How's it gone end when I use this pen? You can still get dropped like Maguire. Food for the fire. We can go head to head like the cider, and I'll still put it all on the line up. Waking up.
There you go. AT, Miss Can Desire.
I like
Bars.
it. Man, them looking suave.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I like that.
I was watching the video, I saw man them in suits. I said, this is what we want. This is our future. This is our future.
The thing about, especially like obviously genre of music is always associated, as we know, like with the ballys and the blocks and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I like that video. That caught my attention straight away.
Thank you very much.
Love that concept.
I'm gonna drop you the link to that one, Dash. You can watch the whole
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, drop me the link,
video.
man.
It's a lovely video. So I'm gonna wrap up there. Free midfield. Obviously the match report. Title is New Year, same Spurs. You know. So me personally, it's New Year, new me. You'll see that as the year progresses. I don't know how, but you're gonna see that. But AT, before you go, please plug yourself and let us know where we can find you.
Yeah. AT artist X Philosopher. Find me on Instagram at AT_TP. That's 80_TNP. Find me on Twitter on the official AT, the number again. Chat, you know, my mind and talk rant about Arsenal and the Warriors.
There you go. That's AT. And a reminder that his track and his EP comes out this Sunday. So look out for that. Dash, my wrestling guy, my brother.
Yeah. What's
Yes.
good, man? Thanks first and foremost for having me on here. Once again, Happy New Year to everyone that's watching and to obviously you guys as well. Yeah, man, you can find me on it's a Dash of Sports. That's where I talk about all things, you know, with sports news, hot topics and trending stories. So you can find me on YouTube. That's where the main platform is. Instagram is where most of my daily news will come up on there as well. Also on Twitter with the same handle, and also on TikTok. So I'm pushing for the TikTok as well, 1 minute videos and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, man, just trying to keep it kind of fun and, you know what I mean, joyful and all that kind of stuff there, man. So you can find all the hot topics and trending stories up on those platforms.
Yep. And
yes, and we're also doing, as Kojo mentioned, we're also doing a wrestling podcast. So just, you know, every week or so, we just catch up on things WWE. So Kojo, man, we've got to do a roundup of 2022 and kind of just see where wrestling is kind of taking us in that year and what we're looking forward to in 2023. So Royal Rumble's coming up next, so you know what I mean. So we can push forward for that. So check us out, heads. Still talking about wrestling. Wrestling is real, by the way, guys. Wrestling is real.
There you go. Yeah, there you go. It is.
Definitely.
It is. You know what's fake? UFC. That's fake. When they bring their names, I see them.
Tomato ketchup. I see them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I see them at that Target the next week, man. Don't listen to them. They're liars. Anyway.
Yeah, man. Appreciate it. Love, man. Love.
Thanks for having me as well. Yeah, definitely.
Definitely. But check out Dash of Sports as well. It's not just football, as you said. It is covering all angles and all sports. And the TikTok as well, because I find the TikTok entertaining. And I'm going to ask you to teach me on that very soon because I need to learn.
Watch that, man. I'm learning as well, so I'm pushing forward, man. So I'll help you out.
Love that. But this is Free Midfield. Obviously, you know how it goes, the audio and sound socials, audio and socials, Free Midfield, and of course, right here on YouTube, the Match Report. But of course, if you type in Free Midfield Podcast, you'll still find us as well. Like, comment, subscribe, all of that. Happy New Year. Have a wonderful year full of wins, W's. These guys are kissing their badges, so I'm just gonna leave it there because I hope their team doesn't win.
We're just trying, man. We're trying our best. You know what Ian Wright said? Ian Wright said, listen, you got to enjoy the moment, man. And sometimes we find ourselves, you know, you're just trying to stay quiet and all that, but we're just trying to enjoy the moment, and we'll see where we end at the end of the season, man. We're enjoying the moment right now. It's been a long time.
I like this humbleness. I wonder how they speak behind the camera, but we'll see. We'll find out. Good night, guys.